So the Adios 7 or the Adios Pro 3? Well, rather surprisingly, I actually think I preferred the Adios 7. Anyway, let's delve into this a bit more. And here's a bit of a railway for the railway buffs. Nobody, hope you're doing okay, and welcome to the level crossing between Shalford and Chilworth. Anyway, so as you can see, I've got some Adios Pro 3s there waiting and waiting. I've also got some Adios 7s on here. So I've had a good opportunity, I thought, to a bit of a shoe off between the two shoes. I've got 10 by 1k reps with a minute's rest to do. So I think I'll improvise that by doing 5 reps in the Adios 7 first, and then swapping over to the Adios Pro 3 at the end. Not going to be a direct comparison of a shoe off here. I just want to get a feel for how these shoes are, because I haven't really used them too much in anger yet. So I just want to sort of see how the difference is between sort of the budget traditional racer with no carbon plate and the Adios 7. Don't forget that the regular Adios line saw some world records. Gebre Selassie set a few back in the day, and of course the Adios Pro is doing very well as well. So what I want to see is what's the difference between the regular Adios and the Adios Pro 3. Is there actually a purpose in spending virtually double the amount of money? Obviously you get a bit more stack in the Adios Pro 3 than you do in the Adios 7, but you do get the Light Strike Pro in both. Admittedly you get some regular Light Strike in the Adios 7, so is that really just a budget option? One thing I would say about the Adidas shoes, if you view the Adios 7 as a training partner to these sort of more expensive shoes, then, well, they're a lot more similar. In fact, if anything, the Adios 7 is a bit more streamlined than the Adios Pro 3, slightly lighter and less stack compared to Nike and the Zoomfly 5, which is a bit of a behemoth of a shoe compared to the Next Percent. These ones are actually much more similar, I would say. So right, I'll first do a warm-up, and I'll do a few reps, and I'll talk as we go along during the course of the run. And the cutaways in the Adios Pro 3 are very handy if you want to attach it to a prop in the middle of nowhere. Okay, so warm-up done in the Adios 7. They've softened up a bit actually since I first worn them. Initially I equated them to be quite firm, but they've certainly softened up. You definitely feel that Light Strike Pro now much more than I could on my first run, so that's good. They feel quite lively, but I'm just sort of going along steady. It's quite hot today and I was feeling the heat already, so the aim is about 6:40 to 6:45 for these threshold intervals. So I'll do a couple going out towards Chilworth. We'll pass the station shortly and then double back and then change shoes and see where we go. Okay, first one done. That's a bit harder than I thought. It's slightly uphill, slightly into the wind, so I haven't played golf this morning, so I'm making my excuses. Anyway, not too bad. And right about the right sort of groove, and hopefully in a few of these to sort of swing into it, as it were. Right, I've got one. What have we got? 30 seconds recovery. I've got a little road here going up towards the Downs link I need to tack on, so if I set up here, double back, and I get some nice little flyer down this little hill, I think. Oh, there's a bit of railway bridge here. Let's see if we can get a capture of that. Okay, on the rep proper then. Okay, rep 2 done, bag on the money, 6:43. That felt easier actually. I think maybe just a few little downhills in there. There's a few U-turns as well. But anyway, these shoes are holding up nice. The Adios of old, I remembered. These are UK 13.5, but I think my feet have expanded a bit since I was about 10 years ago, because I ran a full marathon in the first version of these in 2:53, and that was my sort of go-to shoe. But then sort of subsequent ones became a bit short, so I kept trying them thinking that I would be wanting to really love them, and of course I did. So I was really thankful to Adidas for finally making my size, and for people like Andy, the Ford runner, Jamie's running, my friend Mike Boucher, Rob Weatherall, who's even bigger than us. I think he's a size 14. Anyway, right, so I'm on to the next rep. Better get going. Okay, we'll do a U-turn, head back towards the car. Okay, 3 down. Yeah, not too bad. I feel a bit thirsty actually, so it is quite a struggle in this heat, but it's a nice sort of controlled pace, so I'm feeling that I'm trying to do and what I'm told here. It's meant to be threshold, not meant to be VO2 max or anything, so should be within myself. Not far off where I want to be with marathon pace, probably more like half marathon pace at the moment, given current fitness and lack of long runs. Anyway, I've got 20 seconds, we're off again. Okay, 6:33 for that one. I think it was slightly downhill, slightly downwind, so a bit flattering. It's starting to feel a bit firmer now, the Adios 7. Maybe just the old legs are a bit tired from golf this morning, and then did over an hour's run, 8 miles last night, race on Wednesday, then I did that threshold session afterwards. So yeah, partly on the miles, ready for this 10k in September. these are good sort of sessions for 10k, 10 by 1k, 1 minute. So quite a similar race simulation session. Obviously I have to go a bit faster in the race, but hopefully it won't be as warm as this. It's an evening race, I think, on the track at Battersea, so that's good. Right, we're off. Okay, 5 done. We're not quite back at the car yet, about another quarter of a mile to go. So I think I'll do a bit of a pivot, as Sestamore would say, and do another rep in the Adios 7, make up to 6, and just do 4 in the Adios Pro 3 at the end. The main purpose of this session is to get the session done, and hopefully a bit of chat of shoes on the way. But yeah, quite liking these Adios 7s. Bud's favourite shoe, I'd say, at least at the moment. He certainly liked the Adios 6. I think he gave the Adios 7 even more marks, so glowing endorsement. I wouldn't say that they're wonderful, but I think for what they are, for the price, then certainly worth considering, especially when like a budget sort of fast trainer. They certainly feel fast, or fast enough anyway for my liking, and yeah, nicely cushioned given their weight, and the stack is, by modern day standards, I suppose sort of medium. It's not massively high, not massively low, but yeah, great update on the shoe. But you've kind of a shoe that you feel is a bit bypassed now by the high stack carbon racers, but if you can get a discount, I think you should be able to get these for about 80 quid, even less maybe. Right, I better get going. Okay, rep 7 done. First one, the Adios Pro 3. Wow, and the next level crossing here. You know, I was saying that the Adios 7 and the Adios Pro 3 are similar. Well, when you put the Adios Pro 3 on, it's a completely different shoe. I apologise for that. I actually feel quite unstable compared to the Adios 7. And if anything, I actually prefer the Adios 7. I think it's slightly lighter. Just feel sort of more locked in. Maybe I'm just tired, but that first rep's finished slightly uphill, so maybe not the ideal of reps, but yeah, interesting. So yeah, in terms of value for money, well, yeah, maybe a short distances, the Adios 7 is the one. I think maybe a longer trip I'll start to feel it. Right, I need to get going. Back to the past, to the Downs Link. Downs Link is the old railway I run a lot between Bramley, goes all the way down to the south coast at Shoeoff, but I usually go to about Christ Hospital and back. Yeah, so right, 2 more reps to do. And I'm just sort of feeling now this is like 8 reps. But these Adios Pro 3s, the stack sort of, almost sort of like weighs me down a bit. I don't know, maybe just some tired legs, but just felt more nimble than the Adios 7s. So that's a bit of a surprising result. Whether they're actually faster, it's a bit hard to tell. This is not a proper Shoeoff because obviously I'm a bit knackered now, but we'll see how we go. Right, I'm off again. I'm going to do a little cul-de-sac loop here. Up a little hill, so that's going to help the pace, is it? But hope you get nice downhill back. Oh, I've been on this one already. Wrong one. Oh dear. Need to run over? Never mind. Okay, yeah, 1 more to go. I'll be glad if this is over, then I'm about a mile warm down back to the car past the station, so let's see if I can clock in there. Yeah, I still don't feel that these Adios Pro 3s are really helping on these ones. Alright, so 1 more rep. I checked this cul-de-sac loop as the 1k and come out the other end, I think. Very nice little run for me. Maybe a segment set around this loop. Not sure if anyone goes up here. Right, see you at the end. Okay, that's my 10 done. 6 in the Adios 7s, 4 in the Adios Pro 3s. Yeah, I wouldn't say that the Adios Pro 3s were any easier, that's for sure. I think that last one was possibly my fastest, but I maybe put a bit more effort in and a slight downhill finish after an uphill start around that cul-de-sac. So yeah, good session. I've got to jog back about a mile now. I'm glad of a well-earned drink, I think. I covered 8 miles just in the Adios 7, and it'll probably be about another nearly 5 miles in the Adios Pro 3s. Yeah, so we'll check it at the end and look at some stats, and I'll give you my final thoughts. But yeah, I think the summary is that if you don't mind a shoe without a carbon plate these days, and you don't want to spend too much money, and you need something that's quite light, heritage of world records, then yeah, take a look at the Adios 7. I think it's a great little number. Maybe I wouldn't run a marathon in it these days, but yeah, for training, great, I think.
Hi, so this is the stats of my runs. I did 6 in the Adios 7, followed by 4 in the Adios Pro 3, and there was a 1 minute rest between each of the Ks, with the slightly longer, obviously, to change shoes. I think it was about 3 minutes it took me to change shoes. So it wasn't a proper Shoeoff in terms of the fact I wasn't aiming to do the exact same reps for a direct comparison. But what I thought was interesting, that I was trying to do these reps all about the same sort of rough pace. Matt said to do them between 6:40 and 6:45, so it was threshold pace. I did that fairly well. It wasn't a completely flat course, but I tried to make it as flat as possible. Some of them were slightly uphill and some of them were slightly downhill, as you can see by the elevation changes here. But once I got into the groove in the Adios 7, it looked like my average heart rate there was very steady at 131, 132. And the maximum crept up to nearly 140, just made it to 140 on one of them. Cadence was quite steady, maybe going up a bit towards the end. I tend to notice that as I get tired, my cadence tends to go up, so that's a good indicator. It was quite warm today, 23 degrees. If it doesn't sound too warm, but I think I'd already played golf in the morning, so I was already quite tired. So I thought I did quite well in this session just to get through it, actually. So I was quite pleased with how I executed it. When I put the Adios Pro 3s on, I was quite surprised. They felt quite clumpy compared to the Adios 7. They felt quite unstable in relative terms compared to them. And it just felt like I had more shoe on. I mean, as you can see here, that the times are quite similar, but certainly in terms of the average heart rates, although obviously by the end I was getting a bit tired and heart rate drift on that, but they were noticeably higher. Admittedly, on this last one I put in a bit more effort, and it was a bit of a hilly loop I started off with, so the average heart rate there crept up quite a lot, and so did the maximum. But the first two were certainly like more normal, and admittedly they were sort of going slightly uphill as well. But yeah, compared to the other ones, you can see that there's no magic wand here. When I put on these super shoes in inverted commas, I didn't suddenly sort of like drastically reduce my heart rate and increase the speed. So I thought that was very interesting. And just the fact on feel that they just felt quite alien, and I thought, oh, it wouldn't really be a shoe that I'd want to wear for a long time. It just seemed like a lot of shoe under my foot, which actually quite surprised me, because when I did the Shoeoff between the Adios Pro 3 and the Alpha Fly 2, I thought I actually preferred the Adios Pro 3. Maybe I'll have to do one now against the Endorphin Pro 3, because I quite liked that shoe, and that was the one I wore for the race in Bushy Park the other week. So yeah, does it show that these super shoes aren't necessarily the be-all and end-all? And in training at least, you can certainly make do with a lot cheaper shoe, and perhaps a shoe that has just a much more traditional feel to it. So yeah, what do you make of this? I thought it was very interesting in this training session that the Adios Pro 3 wasn't giving me a noticeable advantage. Maybe it would do if I went out for a lot longer run at marathon pace for, I don't know, 10 miles. I'd have to compare the two shoes again. It's quite kind of difficult to do that sort of comparison, because obviously you can't run for 10 miles in one shoe then swap over to the other one. So yeah, have you got either of these two shoes? Be very interested to hear your comments down below. So I think the next shoe off ought to include the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3, and maybe do a Pro 3 shoe off between the two Pro 3s, or maybe do a Speed 3 versus Pro 3 shoe off. What do you think? What you're more interested in? Okay, so I hope you found this interesting. Like and subscribe on that, and see you next one then. Bye!
And for the railway enthusiasts, here's Chilworth Station. I'm not sure if I've ever got on or off here, but I've definitely got on or off at Shalford, which I timed at 1.03 miles down to where my car was. So it'll be a nice sort of straight road back. I think I'll be glad of it after that, because that was a hard work. Right, see you later.